All right, welcome back. It's still Nigeria, 59 years looking onwards, trying to secure this nation. We're still having our robust conversation, and we were in Abuja trying to talk to Barrister Sadatu Muhammad. She had slight challenges hearing us. I'm sure she can hear us now. And the question Ladi had put to you there was one of the Constitution and this unifying document that everybody is supposed to respect. Do you think that if we have that in the way it should be, the problem is solved?
Yes, the 1999 Constitution, as I said earlier, is the highest law in the land, and it should be respected by all citizens. And you see, in the Constitution, each and every offense is being prescribed, and the punishment is there, being stated therein. So if, as a citizen, you know that if you commit so offense, you are going to be penalized or punished by so sentence. So I think the citizen will respect the Constitution the more. So that's why I said implementation of these laws are very, very important. So a constitution, the Constitution of the 1999 Constitution.
Please go ahead.
Okay, the 1999 Constitution, as I said earlier, being the highest law in the land, contains the substantive and the procedural law. The substantive the substantive law is the Constitution itself, while the procedure is the CPC and the CPA. That's the Criminal Procedure Act and the Criminal Procedure Code. That is the CPC, sorry. So if you know that you commit an offense under the CPA and you are going to be punished under such, then I think we will sit up. Citizens will sit up and do the right thing because they know they will finally be punished for what they do.
Well, yes, surely you're familiar with some of the debates, in terms of this constitution we're talking about. It hasn't just been, oh, yes, we need this document. Some have said, jettison it. I mean, in the words of Professor Yebode, very popular, he said, it's like a panel-beated car, which has been panel-beated so much that we need a fresh document altogether. Where do you stand 59 years down the road? Where do you stand on the state of the current constitution and the arguments surrounding why people are thinking we should not have this particular document?
Well, to me personally, I think the 1999 Constitution, I've been saying it right from school, is kind of outdated, and the laws should be amended, to be in tune with the current situation at hand. You see, if you see some provisions, you cannot even you will see some crimes being committed presently, like what do you call it? There are so many crimes that are being committed now that we don't have their punishment in the said constitution. So I think it should be, amended, to go in tune with the current situation at hand.
Thank you. Let's come back to Lagos. And back to you, Tawashu. I know that possibly every member of this panel has traveled out of the country at one point in time or the other for various things. And you've all said at one point during today's conversation that we are not unique in many of the things that we're discussing. Other countries at our level seem to have similar challenges. It's how we are dealing with it that seems to differ. That brings up the issue of leadership, and not just political leadership now, but leadership generally. So our leaders, because I remember the late Professor Chinua Achebe saying that the problem of Nigeria is squarely one of leadership. But we seem to equate that with political leadership. There's religious leadership, there is traditional leadership, there's economic leadership, and so on. How are those ones doing? How are those ones doing? You're laughing, Dr. Aguilo. But how are those ones doing? And let's, for a second, leave the likes of Mr. Daniel and so on for a second and look at these others, the religious leadership, the economic leadership, and so on. How are those ones doing?
I used to tell my friends that the problem of the African is that of ontological dissonance. We have our traditional societies. Now we are leaving our traditional societies attempting to go to modern society. So we are now torn. We have not quite left our traditional societies, and we are not yet in the modern society. So we are somewhere in the middle, and that's mediocrity. And as you know, mediocrity takes you nowhere. That's how I see all these educational leadership, for instance. Do you know that in the university system, you can ask anyone, of course, if you do not say, good morning, sir, hey, Joe, sir, you may not graduate as a master's student. Do you know that? I mean, what sort of professor will not agree to mentor a student simply because the professor thinks that the student does not greet anyone? Just put that in your mind. Secondly,
there's a professor here.
There's a professor here.
I'm going to react. Yeah, I'm just thinking that, okay.
Apart from, so educational leadership, there's a problem there. Like you said, health. Look at the health sector. I have a personal experience at a teaching hospital. My younger brother died at a teaching hospital. While my brother was dying, the chief medical director was by the door answering a phone call. And my brother is there dying. And the doctors attending my brother, one of them was using left hand at a teaching hospital. A teaching hospital that does not have cardiopulmonary resuscitation equipment. They can't resuscitate my brother. And one of them was using left hand on the phone. He was doing this way. Imagine where we are if that is what our teaching hospital is about. How much more all these doctors everywhere doing private practice in medicine. So the problem of leadership in Nigeria is widespread. And remember that these leaders are from our society. They are from our society. So you don't expect much miracle from them. So they will be like us. So that is it.
That brings me, Prof, before you respond to his allusion to professors in the university as an example, there's also been the argument that when you say, oh, the problem is leadership, does that excuse the followership? Because leaders, there are those who argue that leaders don't drop from heaven. Leaders emerge from among the followers, one way or the other. They come. So are the followers also guilty in this regard?
Definitely the followers are guilty. Let me try to establish a relationship between a professor, since you mentioned professor, and students. There was a day I was entering my office. I was carrying my laptop and some books. Some students greeted me, hello, morning sir, morning sir, morning sir. I then entered my office. Then no sooner I entered my office, say a word of prayer, I then heard knocking. So the student then came in. Those were the students that greeted me, seeing me carrying so many things.
Without bothering
to assist me. They then say, sir, we wanted to see you, sir. I said, what do you want to see me for? Yeah, we need your help, sir. Oh.
Really?
And yet, you didn't know that you have to respect others by assisting. They said, they forgot. So the issue of, it's not the problem of leadership alone, even the followership. But perhaps it's the leader that should have trained them. Mm-hmm. If the youths are trainable, then we can train them. But even the elders too need to know that they need to say a word or two to these young ones for them to be lifted up. And that's the issue of mentorship. So there are some people...
Which comes back to what?
Yeah, there are some people that really, you want to mentor people. But there are some people that we say, no, I don't want to follow that system. Yorubas will say that it's the child that raises the hand that you carry. So if you want to train someone and say, no, I'm not interested, just leave that person. So it's really the problem. It's not only the problem of leadership alone, but even the followership. And the followership should really think that, what do I really want in future? How should I really be trained to really fit into the future? Yep. If these are in place, even in the classroom, you are supposed to challenge your lecturer and say, sorry,
which
sir.
is what Dr. Aguilo is leading
to say, sorry, sir. I read from one. It depends on how you say it. Mm-hmm. But if you say, sir, what you said is wrong.
Or what are you saying?
What are you saying? Why, then the lecturer will just keep quiet and say, okay, you will meet me.
Because the lecturer, somebody pointed out that the lecturer is also a human being.
Sure.
But it comes back to what I was saying.
It's just like
earlier,
the police too.
Whether we will ever overcome.
They are also human beings.
Yeah. Which is what Mr. Ojukwu pointed out.
You see them on the road, you are not greeting them. Mm-hmm. He stopped you.
But why must you wind up? That's another problem.
Yes.
Why must you have to have that greeting ritual? Do your work in the Metropolitan Police. You want to greet, you don't want to. They pull you over, they pull you over.
No.
The greeting exchange is not an issue. They can say, Commissar, why are we hung up on culture, tribe, religion?
Some of us have lived over there too.
Yeah.
When you see a policeman will say, abroad over there, they will say, good morning. You wind down and say, oh, good morning. How are you?
But if they don't say good morning,
yes,
the exchange will not change.
If they don't say good morning,
it will not. But here,
yes,
the door to getting that thing you want, go to any civil service office and you have to make the extra effort to be so nice before the secretary will look at you.
Because as has been pointed out, they are all human. Someone gave me an analogy, and I'm coming to ask you, who is the security expert, that security people work on the basis of psychology. Sure. So when you get there and you are sitting inside this air-conditioned automobile, he's standing outside in sweat, drenched overnight, bitten by mosquitoes and so on. And then you are not offering any kind of palliative, even if it was just words to say, well done, officer. You are doing
well
us well.
Done for what?
For what he's being paid for. But it goes back to what Dr. Iguilo talked about when he said that he was asked to pay for investigation. Investigation is police work. Exactly. So he ought not to pay. But that's what happens. So if you don't talk, and he then says, okay, well, fine, there's no problem. Now you are the big man. I'll waste your time. So he will pack you, demand for everything under the sun from your car and so on. You present everything, then he says, you can go. But that will be an hour and a half later.
But this is it. There is a process. For you to get an outcome, there's a process, okay? The typical police officer in Nigeria, that's why it says my heart goes to the Nigerian police force, and it goes to the men, the military and the armed forces. When they had the bomb explosion at the Maryland cantonment, I remember going to visit the victims that were moved in there. So I drove into the Ikeja Police College. And what I saw in the Ikeja Police College, was quite frightening. I looked at their hostels, and there were no mattresses in their bunk beds. This is the college. This is where they start training. They had what do you call it? Cartons or cardboards, all placed on these springs. Now, how do you? It's a mental thing. How do you prepare a man through that whole process? Comes out of the process, you understand? Comes at work. Welfare is poor, you understand? And then you expect him to come out like the policeman in the US or the UK speaking to you politely. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Let's not do this.
Okay.
All right, we've got to go. I'm still coming to you. I won't let you. We are not escaping this because we talked about abroad. Ijoma mentioned it. Mr. Daniels talked about it, and Professor Kune has talked about it. The difference in psychology for the various people who are doing these various tasks. But that will be after the break.